Hello, everybody. This is going to be a really short video. Helen has 10 minutes to spend commenting on my poem. We love to have conversations about poetry. I wrote this strange poem the other day. It's called Gingerbread. And there's a kind of response poem that I wrote the next day to it that we thought might be a rather intriguing Christmas poem. And the question, no, we won't give the question. We'll just do the poem. Let's go for it. Okay, here is the poem. We often say that if you have a line coming into your head, you've got to follow it wherever it goes. And this is where this line went and what it had to say to us. Okay, thank you, Helen. Helen Carr. Gingerbread. How much I want to lose myself in the house made of death. Each wall and windowsill sweet to the eye, their colours tasting of magic under the tongue. Look, break it off and put it into your mouth. The house is edible. The shock of transgression filling the heart for a moment. This is not my house, but there's no one home. The windows disappearing like invisible ecstasy under my hand. The house is of limitless size. Come on, brother, let's climb inside. Perhaps the house was made for us. Let's eat our fill. There is a kind of sleep that comes before death, when the ears are the last sense to lose their connection to the world of place. Half in dream and half in delight, Gretel hears the sound of crunching leaves, betraying a halting step down a path made unfamiliar by a sight of devastation. The witch stops suddenly at the half-eaten door. Her eyes roam over the lintels and the gouged walls, the signs of a ravenous hunger. Gingerly, she peers inside. She knows now she will find them fast asleep. She smiles to herself politely and clears her throat as she looks at the sweet, abandoned children sleeping after such peace. For she too knows what she would like so very much to eat.
Oh my goodness. Oh, there's so much in there. I've got it written down here so I can look at it as well if it looks like I'm not looking at you. I love it. I
still want to be my friend.
I still want to be your friend, even though you wake up with the phrase, how much I want to keep myself in the house made of death. I feel like, to me, I mean, every poem can speak differently to different people, can't it? But to me, it speaks of temptation and like how something is offered, and I think that the enemy would have us feast on all that he has to offer to make it look like it's lovely. And who wouldn't want to eat so much gingerbread? I certainly love the taste of it. But I think it says it all when you see the consequences of that. It's like, actually, let's allow yourself to be so tempted that you lose all perspective of all things and you end up slumbering and losing sight of whatever.
Yeah.
And then you are in danger of being consumed yourself.
Yes, that's
it's quite chilling. Good. I think one of my favorite, if that's the right word, line is the one where it goes, "The witch stops suddenly at the half-eaten door."
That shocked me when I wrote it. I was like, oh dear.
It's like she's noticed. All of a sudden I think, oh my gosh, I hope I haven't eaten that door, because if I have, I'm in trouble. Like, but you know that they're still inside.
Oh, she's going to climb in, you know.
Yes.
The door is no longer there. Oh my God.
The house we ought not to eat, but looks like we should and leads us into trouble, I think it's just, there's so much in it, Sarah, and I feel like people would service themselves well to read it, meditate on it. But I think,
sorry.
The warning.
Sorry, I'm speaking over you, but obviously listening at the same time. Do repeat what you just said. So a friend of mine, we're always talking over each other because we're so eager to say something. He said, obviously I'm listening to you while I'm talking over you.
Yes.
Oh my dear.
Just that I feel like it's a warning poem. It's a poem of warning.
Yes. Well, yeah, it kind of warned me, and I thought, oh, yes, I think I know exactly what I ought not to do. So I then felt there had to be a kind of answer. And so I came across this video the next day that I'm going to post under this video. And it was about this really interesting fact that in the New Testament, there are lots of words for eat in Greek. I don't know any Greek, apart from kerikatomene, which is the word for Our Lady, overflowing with grace like a fountain, which is a nice word. Anyway, that's the only Greek I know. But in this little video, she explains that there are lots of words for eat in the New Testament. And when Jesus talks about eat my body and drink my blood, he actually doesn't use the word dine or anything refined at all. He uses the word gnaw and munch and devour. It's like, whoa, and he uses it 3 times. So it's like 3 times is please notice. So anyway, so the second poem I wrote just came to me, therefore, having listened to this and thought, oh, I've just been writing about ravenous hunger. Let's see where this takes me. And it took me here. So this poem is called The House of Bread. Woo! I heard once of a plane that crashed into a mountainside, far above the snowline in the heart of winter, and yet, to the shock of everyone that heard, some passengers still survived. On what did they feed themselves? Well, no one dared to ask, since there was nothing there on which to feed up there on the icy crag. Their faces were as cold and hard as the stone beneath the snow. There is a kind of hunger that will brook no refusal. No deep taboo can keep it back or hold the heart at bay. There must be something that the ravening soul requires, that matter cannot meet. That need extreme, up there in the icy clouds, the lone survivors feasted on the dead. But I remembered one who shockingly, beyond all expectation, said, not eat, but gnaw, like animals feed on bones and straw, unruly and unkempt, upon essential elements, as wild as briars and sharp as thorns, chew, munch, devour my body, drink my blood, prepared for you to eat and feast upon inside this house of bread, this small Beit Lechem, Bethlehem, where I, divine, am waiting in a trough, where animals feed, because your need is greater than you know. Insatiable though you are, this festival will not lead to death, but life and awakening. In this small house, the earth and heavens are at once contained, and more besides presides, and you, no longer orphans, are at home.
Wow. Wow. There's a lot of things in there, and a couple of things for me really stand out. Obviously, I'd never knew that the Greek word for eat in that context was gnaw, and actually how you have compared that with the way that animals gnaw on things, and how Jesus, arrived and was in this stable, and actually he was born into the place where animals would gnaw. It's quite a thing to think on, isn't it? Like he had always intended the parallel between that image of him in that feeding trough. We don't know exactly where he was, but but we have grown to picture him in that nativity scene.
Away in a manger. It sounds so cute, doesn't it? But manger means manger, which means eat,
Yeah, exactly. Away, oh baby Jesus, ready to be gnawed on. It's like actually that is what he came to do, and it is quite shocking. And the way that you've opened the second poem with the scene of the plane crash, like we all know they ate each other to stay alive, and it would have been horrific. But actually Jesus has, in order for us to have life, has offered himself as exactly that. And
it really strikes me, that phrase you use, they ate each other to stay alive, because isn't that the definition of sin in a way? It's like when we turn towards each other to fulfill our needs without having God at the top of that triangle, then we are going to consume each other, whether it's codependent relationships or a marriage where God isn't involved in such a way that it becomes a transcendent, beautiful thing. It's like, it is the definition of sin, isn't it? Because I think right at the beginning of the Catholic Catechism, it says we are created capable of God, which means that unless we can receive that humongous gift of love, we're going to be just so ravenous. And there will be times when we're ravenous anyway, because God takes us through trials and tests, like dark night of the soul, like Mother Teresa talked about. She was super close to God, but she was willing to suffer years of being in the experience of living by faith alone. And that was amazing, isn't it? You know, and yet her heart was so hungry to please God, she was willing to go through all of that sacrifice.
It's interesting because I picture that plane crash, and it might be very different. Like, again, it's poetry, isn't it? You can interpret it differently. I picture it as though actually, in order, like, it's almost like Jesus was in the plane crash, like, and in order for them to survive, they gnawed on him in order to survive. But
that would be a nice interpretation.
I really like the one line. I know we're nearing the end of our time, but I just want to, there's one line in there which I feel needs highlighting, which is there must be something that the ravening soul requires that matter cannot meet. I think that is a brilliant line, because that just reminds us, actually, especially in a season of Advent, as we approach Christmas, to remember that actually there are things that we desperately need that cannot be satisfied with any material. Like it's only,
or any person
other than, of course, the person of God. And and so it's like, actually, really, when it comes to it, what do we actually need? And let that be the focus of our Advent.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. And I hope it comes as a happy surprise for people who didn't know that Bethlehem meant Beit house, lechem, bread, that's what they'll remember was being prepared. Things planned long ago, as it says in the Bible. And as we sang in a song, I think once, Helen.
Did.
So thank you so much for sparing this very precious 10 minutes of your time. It's always wonderful to chat to you about things. You have a beautiful way of seeing, which is glorious. So thank you so much. And I'm going to put those links to Lizzie's talk and another wonderful testimonial that I heard this morning of a lovely Spanish writer. And I just listened to it this morning by chance, and she's talking about how she came back from a pilgrimage experience, having grown up as a sort of Spanish socialite in Kensington, near where I used to live. But she came back knowing her hunger of God. And I thought, okay, I need to have that in the links below. Beautiful testimony. And so there we go. So happy Christmas, lovely Helen. And thank you so much for being here today. So this has been a little bit of taste of the Bard School. And if you want to have any more information about the Bard School and being a bard and using your creative talents in new ways in the new year, then just contact me at the address below. Lots of love to you, Helen, my love, and goodbye to everybody. Thank you.
Bye.